From the smallest distillery I've ever seen to pure barrel-proof power.
The Horn Chronicle, a German tastes America.
The Tennessee Whiskey Trail winds through rolling hills, quiet hollows, and small towns where time seems to move a little slower. Each distillery has its own rhythm, its own voice, shaped by generations of hands that built, repaired, and carried on the craft. As I followed this trail, I didn't just taste whiskey, I walked through history, listened to stories carried in the walls, and met people whose passion runs deep in every drop they make. This film is my way of sharing those places and moments just as I experienced them. This is my journey.
You got a match and a half-lit grin.
Yes, we are still in Nashville.
Leaning like trouble I should have stayed in. Boots on my floor, lies on your tongue, saying just one night like I'm that dumb.
When you think you've seen it all, you find something completely different once again.
Gasoline.
Just 1 mile away from Marathon Village and Corsair Distillery, you arrive at a place that feels completely different from anything else on the Tennessee Whiskey Trail. But see for yourself.
Taste the fire every time you bring
Far Better Distillery is probably the smallest distillery I've visited so far. And to be honest, it doesn't even feel like a traditional distillery. It feels more like a laboratory. Everything here is compact, hands-on, and very personal. You don't walk through large production halls. Instead, you stand right next to the equipment, close to the process, almost part of it. Far Better is what you would call a true artisan, or even nano distillery, focused on small batches, creative ideas, and experiences rather than large-scale production.
You're a bad habit, honey, I can't quit like cheap red wine and a cigarette hit. I'm
The last one! Wow, how long did it take you?
3 months.
Okay, that's pretty good. You've been busy. You want to taste anything while you're here?
I would check it out. Let's see.
The smallest distillery in the whole United States.
Really?
You just heard it, the smallest distillery in the entire United States.
and we're still not done. You left low like a warning sign saying you'll be mine till the next goodbye.
What makes this place special is not just the spirits, but the concept behind it. It's built around interaction, tastings, mixology sessions, even the opportunity to blend and bottle your own whiskey. You can feel that this place comes from a different mindset. It's not about tradition alone. It's about creating something fun, approachable, and personal. And standing here in this small space that feels more like a creative workshop than a distillery, you realize sometimes it's not the size of a place that makes it special, but the experience you take with you.
But I never win. Go on, spin me one more lie. I'll pretend I don't know why. My hands don't listen to my head. Every note comes out not yet. You're a bad habit, honey, I won't quit. Even when I know you're the end of it. Strike that match, yeah, play along. Some girls learn, I just write the song. You're a bad habit, honey, that's it. Little bit danger, a little bit sin. If you're my downfall, let's begin. Yeah, I like my bad habits, honey. Bad habit, honey, stay just a little. Bad habit, honey, play me like a fiddle. One more night, one more hit. Yeah, I never learn, and I love that bit.
From the smallest distillery I've seen to something completely different. Nashville is not Kentucky. Here, things move faster, louder, more diverse. It's a city where tradition and modern life collide, where historic roots meet creativity, music, and energy. Walking through Nashville, you feel that constant motion, the rhythm of the streets, the sound of Broadway, and the mix of people from all over the world. From quiet workshops to busy streets, from small experiments to bold expressions. And right here, in the middle of it all, you'll find places that represent exactly that spirit.
All my lessons, bartenders pouring more than right. He's drowning out the reasons why. Must be drunk to miss you this much.
Nashville Barrel Company actually has 2 locations here in Nashville. There's the headquarters just outside of downtown, where production, tours, barrel experiences, and retail all come together under one roof. And then there's a separate tasting room right at downtown. Nashville Barrel Company is one of those places I really enjoyed from the very first moment. It doesn't try to tell you some old romantic distillery story. Instead, it feels modern, confident, and very focused on one thing: great whiskey.
To say I still ain't over us. Empty glass, full of blame. Every swallow tastes like your name. A ghost in heels and faded dreams. Still waltzing through my bourbon scenes. You don't pick up, and that's just fair. Hell, I wouldn't answer me out there. Truth is, sober hearts don't break this loud. But whiskey's bold where pride.
Founded in 2018 by a small group of friends, it started with a simple idea: to keep the tradition of picking great single barrels alive, at a time when good whiskey was becoming harder and harder to find. And that's an important part of their story. Nashville Barrel Company built its reputation not by producing everything themselves in the beginning, but by sourcing exceptional barrels and selecting them with a very clear vision of quality. It's about finding the right barrel, not just making one. What began with just a few barrels quickly grew into something much bigger. And by 2021, they had opened their own distillery and headquarters here in Nashville. What I really liked here is how everything feels connected. The barrel room, the tasting experience, the bar, the retail side, it all flows together in a way that feels practical, honest, and built around people who truly love whiskey. And the whiskey itself is very much my kind of style. Bold, full of character, and most of it is poured at cask strength. You get the whiskey with all its power, depth, and intensity still intact, exactly the way many enthusiasts want to experience it. What makes the tasting here especially interesting is the focus on real single barrels. You're not just tasting a standard profile, you're tasting one individual barrel with its own personality. And once that barrel's empty, that exact whiskey is gone. That's what gives the whole experience a real sense of immediacy. For me, Nashville Barrel Company proves that you don't need a century-old story to create something memorable. Sometimes passion, a strong palate, and the courage to do things your own way are more than enough. And that's exactly what I felt here.
Lord, I must be drunk.
No distractions, just whiskey the way it's meant to be. If you enjoyed this journey, feel free to leave a like and become part of the story. Subscribe to the channel and don't miss the next dram. Thank you for watching, and until next time.